Are we live? Is this thing live? I tell you what, we are having some technical difficulties over here on my end. So if we're live, great. If not, I might just be talking into a camera that's going to croak here in a minute. Doesn't matter. What's happening, everybody? Hope everybody's having a fantastic whatever day you're watching this. Let some of you guys kind of roll in here. And then I will ask the question that I've been meaning to ask now for a bit of a hot minute, just a little bit of time, but I got to know where you guys are with the Hurricane engines. I'm speaking specifically not to the Wagoneer guys, but to the Ram 1500 guys. So here's the thing. I haven't heard anybody chime in lately with these motorcycles. Sorry, with these engines. See, sorry, it's easy for me to get sidetracked. Been doing nothing but bikes lately. So forgive the misspeak. And that's about how much interest I have in Mopar kind of to begin with right now. Anyway, what with the EV that they're trying to drop on us, and they could have released the Hurricane 6 Charger. But anyway, you get where I'm going with this. Been spending a lot of time with bikes doing repairs. Actually dropped the T-Bird today while I was trying to work on it. That was cute. Anyway, it is what it is. Guys, the thing is this. I am wondering where are all the kill stories coming from the Hurricane guys? Wasn't the Hurricane supposed to be the end of the discussion when it comes to these new power plants? What's the latest? I need somebody to chime in and tell me that, yeah, you've been out there smoking coyotes, ripping Hemis heads off with this Hurricane 6. I need to hear that. And the reason why I'm so desperate and thirsty for this knowledge is because at some point, eventually, we're going to have the Hurricane 6 powered Charger. Charger, except the two doors are going to be called the Charger. Anyway, we're going to have the Charger hitting soon with that engine, and I've got to try to keep my hopes high, at least for the guys that are actually going to buy the car. If there is going to be any kind of preamble to that engine, it's in the truck. That's the way it was with the Hemi, and that's the way it is with the Hurricane 6. So I got to know where y'all at. I feel like this is almost one of those Stephen Hawking. So Stephen Hawking did something interesting. He secretly threw a party and then said in the future, hey, if you have the ability to go back in time, this is when the party's going to be. Of course, nobody shows up. That's what this feels like in a way. This feels a lot like if you've got a Hurricane 6 and you're doing well, let me know in a previous video. Go back in time and tell me, because nobody has reported back with anything on that engine as it pertains to performance, fuel economy, towing capabilities, reliability. Nobody has had anything that I know of. It doesn't mean it's not out there, but nobody has got anything on that engine. And this is where I'm going with this, guys. If we don't have anybody singing the praises of that power plant before the Charger hits, it's not going to look good for the initial buyers. So let me set the stage for you a little bit. Speaking of time machines, hop in your way back machine and go back to when the 345 horse, 5.7 liter Hemi was originally put in the Ram 1500. Understand that at that time, 345 horsepower was out of a 5.7 liter was in essence the same horsepower coming out of the LS1 and the Corvettes. It wasn't that far behind the 385 horse Z06 engine. So what you need to remember is that when that truck hit the roads, it was kind of a hot rod. In fact, you kind of still consider it a hot rod to this day. 345 horsepower out of roughly 345 cubic inches. It's legitimately kick-ass. But where the hell is that kind of energy for the Hurricane 6? Is it not there because guys aren't buying the truck? Is it not there because guys are deciding that it's not really worth the money that they've spent because they've got to put premium gas in the thing? It's really performance oriented, but it's not. Is it because there's no tuning software available for that engine? This is another thing that you've got to remember. If you are buying one of those Hurricane 6 powered contraptions and you're buying it for the thought that you can tune it, well, you can't really tune it yet. So is that why we're hearing so much quiet? But the problem with that, though, is that, well, look at my Coyote powered F-150. In the tune I put together for that truck, I really don't have any extra timing. I'm not doing anything with fueling. That ECU kind of takes care of that. Matter of fact, not to get too far in the weeds on this, but when I did play around with timing, believe it or not, the truck still just kind of did what it did. And all of my gains were really in transmission tuning. Sound familiar? But anyway, is it because we don't have any tuning software? Are there folks out there that are just saying, oh, we can't wait? The Hurricane X, the 1,000 horsepower variant, that's going to save us all. And that's going to be what we're waiting on for this Charger. Oh, but rats. See, here's the problem with that. HP 70 or HP 75 transmission is what's being slated to back that engine up in that car. And that's going to be your limiting factor. So guess what, boys? When I put out the video for the power potential for the Hurricane 6 standard output, and I said, realistically, because of the type of piston that it's going to have, you're going to be limited to somewhere around 600 horsepower at the rear wheel. Well, you're going to be limited to around that number anyway if the HP 75 is going to be backing that thing up, because, well, it can't manage that amount of power. Wow. And for everybody that was saying, oh, well, the Coyote platform and the 10R80, which, by the way, does have a new basket in the transmission and is handling quite a bit of power, as evidenced by the 800 horsepower packages from Ford Racing Performance Parts and the 700 horsepower packages for the trucks, both coming with a warranty. I would say that all that Hurricane is just a bunch of blowing hot air when you have the option for those types of performance augmentations from the factory. Again, comes with a warranty, boys. But that's beside the point. We're not talking about Ford here. We're talking about Hurricane stuff. And, well, the lack of any kind of video from the guys with the Hurricane trucks going after the likes of the LS pickup truck crowd and the Coyote pickup truck crowd or the Hemi pickup truck crowd. Oh, but getting back to my point where I was going with this, my Coyote bested, granted, it was probably fuel limited, by over half a second to 60, the Hurricane 6 truck that I dragged it against. And the Hurricane 6 had much more aggressive gearing, both in the transmission and in the rear gears, especially from a standing start. Hard Rock saying I attended a car. Thank you for the contribution. Saying I attended a car show today in my town, all kinds of muscle cars, tuners, trucks, etc., and no Hurricane 6s in sight. You know, that's kind of a bit. So even that's a bit of a problem. You would think that, I mean, if you had a Hurricane 6 truck and you're running that thing on premium, that's a big deal. And that's where I was going with the point that I will eventually get to in small bites, I suppose. My Coyote on 93 octane is quick. My Coyote on corn on E85 is quicker still. My Coyote on 87 octane feels like 400 horsepower. The Hurricane on 87 octane feels like 325 or 350 at best horsepower. So yeah. And I know that there have been tests with that truck and they're saying, oh, it's so much faster, so much this or that or whatever, but we're not seeing it. We're not seeing it play out. I'm certainly not seeing it in the comments, and I'm definitely not seeing it in, I'm not seeing it anywhere that I can find. Now, granted, I'm not really, doing that deep dive investigative journalism trying to find it, because that kind of info will typically find us, the enthusiast. Hurricane 6 trounces Coyote. Coyote goes screaming with its tail between the legs when the Hurricane blows through. LS what? LT who? More like Lieutenant Dan when it tried to run up against the Hurricane 6. This is the kind of stuff that you would see, but you're not seeing it. And sensational journalism and type of gonzo nonsense that comes with these types of results, words like gapped and destroyed and demolished and humbled and murked and killed and all this other stuff, you're not seeing it. You're not seeing it because it ain't there. And this does not bode well. Guys, I was hoping, just a bit of a hoping, that was not going to be the case. And boys, remember, let's not forget, I took my Coyote Power F-150 4x4 XLT loaded to the tits truck, 331 gear, the same one that now consistently runs mid-13s. I took that to the Dodge dealership. If that Hurricane would have run a better number than my Coyote, I would have bought it on the spot. I picked out the exact truck that I would have bought too when I drove it. Real pretty, dark gray, crew cab, 4x4, 355 geared rig. Oh, damn, that thing was a dog. And the problem is that it's all in the fuel, mate. Right? So anyway, this is why I'm saying that this hurts the Charger. The Charger hasn't already, it hasn't hit the ground yet, and already there's some kind of, like, what's the right word? It's like old but not yet bad milk taste. It's going to start happening with guys when they don't see these types of results coming from the Ram. And guys, let us not forget, pickup truck guy is every bit as rabid as hot rod car guy, if not crazier in some respects. All right, pickup truck guy will be the guy that takes a 5,000 or 6,000 or 6,500 pound four-wheel drive pickup truck and will go blasting at 130, 140 miles an hour down the highway if that thing will let it eat. You get the idea. These guys are every bit the racer that everybody else is, and they go after each other hard. And so since you're not seeing it, I got to say, you're not seeing it because it ain't there. Hard Rock, thank you again. Asked, what would your GM build look like? 454, 427, or 350 in a Chevelle Nova Chevy 2 Firebird? My favorite is the 454, manual or automatic. Phenomenal question. So if we're talking about old school Mark IV or SBC, which is the small block traditional 350, I can tell you this, it would not be a Chevelle. If I could find one, it would be a 69, 70, 71 Nova. In fact, there is one. Literally, I can throw a baseball and hit it from here, and the guy won't sell it. It's driving me nuts. Probably, even though I love Pontiacs, I wouldn't do a Firebird. I'd do a Nova. It would be a small block. It'd be a 383 AFR 210 heads roller conversion, RPM, air gap with an 850 HP Holly, um, electric, fuel, Marlboro Red. Actually, no, I'd run an in-tank fuel pump set up for a carburetor. I would run a 700 R4 with a Corvette valve body with a 3,400, like 3,400, 3,200 RPM stall based off of a 400 cubic inch stroker small block, and either 383 or 400 depends on the block that I would be using. If I had a high no block, I'd go 400, a little bit bigger on the bore, go 40 over. But anyway, or a little bit longer stroke. But in essence, build about a 530 horsepower small block Chevy. And the reason why I like small blocks, number one, exhaust is a lot easier to route, and that makes it more efficient. Number two, they're a lot easier to cool, and go with a large 3-row aluminum radiator with big old electric fans. And it would, again, 700 R4, and I would run probably a set of 373 gears with it, because that engine would be very torque rich, and cam specs for that would be 232 on the intake side, 240 on the exhaust, and it would be on a 110-degree lobe separation angle, intake center line at 100, and on that engine, probably at 110, because I'd want to try to drag some more RPM out of it just a little bit. So installed straight up, in other words. And I would, lift really wouldn't matter. Anything 530, 540, that would be just fine, because those heads will flow that. And that'd be my build. That would be it all the way around. Be a killer little car. Because I would go, and just because I've got good experience tuning carburetors, I wouldn't worry so much with fuel injection. Let's see what else. Oh, compression ratio would be I would probably sit that thing at somewhere around 11-1. Hard Rock, thank you again. What are your thoughts on the 396 engine? The 396 works a whole lot better with a longer stroke. I like the 396 in one respect, because if you can build an L78 clone 396, that's a 4.25 horse 396. It's a pretty decent engine, but the problem is that it's heavy for the displacement. I can build a 383 small block that is going to be every bit as powerful as that 396. And it's going to weigh less. It's going to be easier to cool. Although I will say this, one good thing about the 396 is that of the big blocks, if you're going to have a big block and you're going to hot rod one, it's easy. It's easy on a cooling. It's a lot easier on a cooling system than a 454. You start going big stroker, you end up running into problems of keeping that thing cool ever. Like even driving down the highway, you got to watch it. So, and as far as that Nova goes, now that I'm thinking about it, based on tire size, I'd probably go 350. Either 350 or 323 gears. And that would maybe hurt it a little bit in the quarter mile, but hey, my drag strip shut down, and there's that. I'd want something that I could actually leg out a little bit. So my whole thing with any car on any build that I mess with is that it's got to be able to happily cruise at 100 miles an hour. That's a big deal for me. So whether it's a motorcycle or a car, if it can happily cruise at, I say 100 miles an hour, like with bikes and indicated hundreds, let's say 90. It's got to be able to cruise happily all day at 90 miles an hour without getting hot. And, that's the big part of it for me, and not be tiresome in the process. So that would probably be my build, just a real fun, spicy Nova would be really good for me. And I would mind doing. In fact, there's a guy in town that's got a really healthy disco era Nova, um, black with weld wheels. It is a sharp motor. It sounds good. And he's got a hell of a shift kit in it. I think it'll bark the tires just idling through an intersection. So uh, I like it. Um, but let me check in with you guys real quick. Again, Hard Rock, thank you very much, brother. Skids is first in. Got the ball guy with the shades. The cadence is right. Mark is next. DM is in. Itch is in. Sovereign, what is up? Skids saying, you can misspeak about bikes anytime, man. I got to figure out what's up with the T-Bird, man. I thought that I had a map sensor hose that was leaking, and it's not. But I may have dying map sensor. It's map sensor number 1. The bike has 2 map sensors, one for each cylinder. And I think that map sensor number 1, it's on its way out. It runs great going down the highway, but at low RPM, high load, it misfires bad. And so I had taken it out today. I was thinking, maybe it's just bad gas. I'll burn some of this stuff out of it. And I went to data log the bike, and I had it in the shop over. It's just so stupid. And this just happened to a buddy of mine too. It's like, ha, ha, ha. Well, then it happened to me. So I go to kick the kickstand down, and I kind of lost my footing a little bit. And like I'm looking over, go to kick the kickstand down, and that kickstand on the T-Bird flies way forward. And it didn't go all the way forward. I lost my footing, and I ended up with the bike on me, which sucks because I broke a freaking, where is it? I broke the lens on the left-hand turn indicator, which means I got to find a new turn indicator for it. But the handlebar just hickeyed my gas tank. So I got this little French kiss on my gas tank. So ding, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. But if that's the worst that comes out of it, I'm not really worried about it. That bike, by the way, I don't know what it is, but every time I ride it, something potentially catastrophic seems. Not when my wife are on it, I'm super careful, but I have a tendency to ride that bike a little bit harder maybe than I should. And here's the other issue. I run out of lean angle way before I run out of cornering confidence with that bike. And so that is not a good recipe. The camera on here, I am running the nipples off of especially the left hand, a little bit on the right hand, but the left hand tattletale on the pegs. I was blasting through a sweeper with that thing. It wasn't really, it's like I'm on a motorcycle, I'm having fun. I'm dropping that tank into this corner, and I start grinding the peg, and it ground up like this. And I actually I went through it almost flat tracking it. I had my foot completely off the peg so that the peg didn't have any pressure on it. And anyway, anyway, so this, and did I tell you about when I hit that big ass pothole with this thing? I hit a monster of a pothole so hard. In fact, I thought I broke a rim, or I thought I could not broke, but would have cracked the wheel. That's how hard it hit. And it was one of these things where it had rained. It's a normal route that I'll take the bikes on once a month just to make sure they're running right. And this one, on this latest once a month run, it's not running right. But making the same route, it had maybe rained or something, and part of a road repair had blown out. Anyway, that's what I hit. Not fun. But thank you very much. Asking, would a 572 crate engine be as hard to cool as a 454? Oh, harder, much harder. Mm-hmm. You would have to run a lot of fan and a lot of radiator a lot of time to do that. So here's the thing. Any of the big high performance, high compression engines, there's a lot of friction at idle. There's a lot of friction just going down the road. You've got ring tension on a lot of surface area is getting hit by ring. That's what creates all the heat. So it's not, don't get it right, it's not the cars creating so much power. Going down the highway, engine is going to make whatever it needs to make the car go down the highway. About 30 horsepower and about 45 foot-pounds of torque is all you really need. So that's not it. It's just that more power is being used to overcome friction before you get the power back. And so that's where the heat comes from. And that's why you've got to have a cooling system that can deal with that kind of heat. Plus, in many cases, you've overboard engines. Your space between the cylinder and the water jacket itself gets smaller. So you've got a lot more instant heat transfer. There's a lot of stuff going on with the bigger engines that makes them very difficult to cool. And so it's real important that when you're putting a build together, like here's the way I look at it. Big car, big engine. Medium-sized car, medium-sized engine. It's all going to work out in the wash. That's why if I were ever to build a C-body Mopar, it'd be probably a 550 cubic inch RB big block. And I just have, what is in essence like practically a motorhome sized radiator, because it would fit within the confines of what you're working with, if that makes any sense. That's what you're looking for. Lots of cooling capacity, lots of oil cooling capacity. Everything is, you've got to double up like oil cooling capacities when you start getting into big engines too. You've got to keep a tight look on your oil temperatures, no matter what, with any of these cars. But what you really don't want is a situation where, you've got a lot of heat under the hood. You've got, and that's another thing, a big engine creating that much heat under hood, you got to have a lot of airflow going through that thing. It's real important that all of that is taken into account. It's one of the reasons why, like, my dad had a big block Corvette, and one of the things that he always was just annoyed with, and it was an L78. I'm sorry. It was the hell was that thing? L72 427. One of the things that annoyed him most about that car was that no matter what, the thing always seemed to run hot. And that's never a good thing. In other words, if a car is running hot, especially under hood temperatures start getting hot, you can't run the same timing that you would in cooler weather. It creates a lot of issues. Vapor lock becomes a big deal with carbureted stuff. That's why you always want to run an air gap intake if at all possible. Or no, it is possible to just run air gap intake. But thank you very much, man. I appreciate the support, my friend. So I'm saying weird. I was on a notification stream waiting. Interesting. I was having technical difficulties earlier, guys. Ray saying, good evening. Smash that like button. Hello, Arthur. Hope you're doing well. Skid's asking, do you have to turn the wick up on an engine already 2 atmospheres plus the transmission behind the HO is not the HP90? You said I was typing. Yeah, that's the issue, is that you are up against a limitation with the Hurricane 6 with that transmission. It doesn't matter what you can make in terms of power, the transmission is going to be the weak link. I don't know now. I don't know of anybody that is actively trying to get something out of an HP 75 backed Hurricane engine. I don't know. I would enjoy listening to somebody just do something with that. But if Roadkill Nights has anything to say about it, apparently a lot of those Hurricane 6 cars were blowing up transmissions. So there's that. All right. Not trying to be that meme, but I mean, that's where I'm at with this. or emoji. Sorry, not meme. Terms limited. Yep. Again, thank you, Hard Rock. Skid saying the regular output Hurricane is juiced up. I think a lot of folks remember the hype about the 3.5 EcoBoost, and it tows fine, runs fine, just vanilla. You know the weird thing about the 3.5, I was up for either a 3.5 or the 5.0 when I was shopping Fords. You know the strange thing about the 3.5, and I drove the 3.5 in a trimmer with 373 gears. That truck was weird because it had a bunch of tip-in torque, but if you stayed in the throttle and got through a couple of gears, it just nosed over big time on the back end. So you're exactly right. It tows just unbelievably well, but it just wasn't going to offer up the type of driving experience that I was looking for that the V8 gives you in like spades. It's a beautiful thing. Arthur's saying, yeah, barely any Hurricane videos. Where's the hype? Thank you, man. Where is it? And Sovereign's saying there's no hype on it. So somebody's going out to Velocito this evening to make some hits. I don't know if you heard that, but that more than likely there's so we've still got some pretty heavy duty import guys out here, but that was definitely one of the NA guys. If I had to guess, it was probably one of the 350. No, not three. That was a 4-cylinder. So that would have been the 350Z, the 370Z guys were just blasting around here earlier. Oh, saying I joined a Facebook group called Hurricane 30 TT Rams about 10 days ago that Matt, the owner of Most Performance, started. Currently has about 570 members. There is a lot of good testing and info. Excellent. I'm hoping that they've got something going on with it. I know that if anybody will, he will have something going on with it soon enough. So it's just, it's not a good look, man. It's not a good feeling. And here's the thing. So if that's the case, let's say it's a Facebook group. Okay, dope. Facebook group. You know, I need to give Matt a call. Not tonight. I need to give Matt a shout and just say, look, man, I need you to grab one of those trucks and let's go run them. You know, grab your draggies. I'll grab mine and let's go run these things. Not because I'm going to whoop up on one. No, I need to see something coming from it just to get a fair shake out of that truck. That's the main thing. Let's see. What did I miss here? Oh, I just screwed this all up. Oh, Sovereign. Yeah, not even much from Roadkill Nights. Humbled. Yeah, that's one of the words. Sovereign said, I'll take a 5.0 over the Hurricane 6. Yeah, 355. 355, I was real that I would get. But then after driving that one, I'm thinking, damn, man, maybe the 392 geared truck would have been better. Arthur saying pickup truck guy has something to prove for sure. Some of them seem to, that's for sure. It's saying me personally, 350 or 383 Camaro 5-speed TKO. Good transmission, the new TKOs. I've actually bent the output shaft on TKOs in the past. Skids like in Holly Sniper, 373 gears, 450-ish horse. That's kind of the happy place for really any of the engines. And that's something else to kind of go back to Hard Rock's question. You know, man, I'll tell you this. If you build a big block and it makes 400, like a legit, okay, and I don't mean like, you know, Engine Masters dyno kind of bullshit 500 horsepower, which is really optimistic. But if you, with some of the stuff I've seen them build, I'm just going, oh God, this is not good. Anyway, get back to it. When you look at the actual, like a real power number, like something that you could extrapolate through engine or through chassis dyno testing to about 450 to 500 horsepower, that is the happy place. That is where everything comes together. Big blocks don't spin more than 5,500 RPM. Small blocks don't spin higher than 6,500 RPM, typically to achieve those types of numbers. And the big blocks are incredibly rich to drive. The small blocks are incredibly exciting to drive. And so, you know, that's the real fun place. The big block works great in Chevelles. The small block works great in the Novas and the Camaros and the likes of the cars. That's where the fun part of it really is. I can tell you that when guys have decided to go more than that, I've seen guys go big stroker Mopar, big stroker Fords. The Chevy guys, believe it or not, I didn't see a whole lot of usually 496s is what I would see. A lot, and I mean a lot of 496s, but never anything outside of that. You know, where Mopar and the Ford guys would go really big. Chevy put in work with a really good set of heads and an intake manifold on a 496 with a good set of headers. Really hard combination to beat. But anyway, the point that I'm getting to is, man, if you build it right and you build it in that power zone, the engine lives forever. You don't have any issues, and it's just a lot of fun. When you start going much bigger than that, everything downstream starts to become your weak link. I don't care if it's the nut that holds the shackle of the leaf spring to the car, if it's the U-joints become like consumable parts at that point in the drive line. Axles can become, it's just everything becomes a consumable part once you get, and I know this from experience, once you get big blocks past 650 horsepower, it's not even cool anymore, just because on street tires they're all right, but you try to put a sticky tire on it and they get kind of gross. And it's funny that I'm even saying that, because Hellcats, we'd see Hellcats over 1,000 horsepower all the time, and they're big and they're heavy but they're Hellcats, and the Hellcat in and of itself is a cheat code. So what in the hell is this? So anyway, let me get back to you guys. I had something pop up on my screen. What in the world? Oh, sure. Yeah, 572 is also available with an aluminum block. Would that reduce some of the heat? It won't reduce any of the heat, but it'll obviously be a lot lighter. But no, aluminum, remember, aluminum transfers heat faster than iron. But either way, I mean, it's not going to help your case. You got to have a lot of cooling either way. Eric is saying, good evening, Eric. Hope you're doing good, buddy. Everybody's checking with Eric. Hard Rock, Coyote is better. Hemis are better. LS are better. You know, I'll tell you what, here's the spooky part. The spooky motor for me is the LT. I got to be honest. It's not the Coyote. The Coyote, I like the way the Coyote runs. It's a good hot rod. It's a hot roddy, fun engine to drive. But the LT is a little bit different animal. It too is direct injected. And with the big caveat with the LT is that you can build a 408, 415 cubic inch LT and boost it. The heads in LT cars flow every bit as good as a set of Hemi heads, but LT plus boost LT plus displacement plus boost is scary fast. Like that's twin turbo Coyote versus turbo, like big single turbo LT, is a very close race. That is, I mean, it's a coin flip, and that would be two extremely fast vehicles. Kurt Kurt is in. Eric saying, my friend who is a certified Dodge tech has 30 new twin turbo Hurricane 6-cylinder engines coming back to the dealership because they are grenading themselves. Not good at all. Dang. That is a bummer to hear, bro. Oop, Eric's checking in with everybody. Sorry, saying, spike the like. I like that. That's good. Yes. Hit that like button, folks. Anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with this whole hurricane thing. I'm pretty sure that he's going to be working with Hemi-Fever to try to develop some solutions to tune that thing. Again, look, the DT Ram is prime for getting out there and running a pretty decent number. So I've owned one. We'll just have to see where it ends up. Dan saying, oh, Matt has a 2025 Remy Crew Cab, standard output, stock on 93, good air. It ran 1329 at 101 on the Draggy. Very good. That's actually good to hear. 1329 at 101. I bet you that's on a speed limiter too. And that's good. Mine in really good air ran a 1335 at 100 and what was it? Almost 103 miles an hour. So that's really good. I mean, that would be a very, very close race. And that's what I like to hear. I mean, that's, that's something that at least it's got the same juice as a Coyote. Okay. So what can you surmise from that? Okay. So the Charger is going to be about as fast, weight for weight, pound for pound anyway, as a Coyote engine. Maybe, because my truck, it's a Coyote, but it's not Mustang Coyote. Uh-oh. See where I'm going with this? Matter of fact, my truck, now you do have to, with the 4th gen, you got to make a couple of, you got to modify a little bit, but you can make them work. Mustang GT intake and a retune, and that thing's making another 35 horsepower, 30 to 35 horsepower. That's on the high side, but it does pick up quite a bit. Hey, Destroyer 1320 is in. What is up, my friend? Everybody check in with D1320. Don't forget, you've got a discount code. Was it discount code B Mason? Get over to Destroyer 1320's website now if you've got a Challenger or Charger, and get your neutral switch plates for your LX Mopars. Do it now. Do it now while you're thinking about it. Come back to the show, because that is one of the reasons why when the guy that bought my Challenger bought it, he bought it because he had his car stolen, and that's how they drug his off, is that they pulled that part of the console out, pulled that neutral switch out, and drug that thing out the street and towed it off. So Code Mason, there it is, guys. Sovereign's got the website up right now, so get over to Destroyer 1320 now. Get yours ordered up. Use Code Mason and get that thing in your car and make life hell for somebody that's trying to steal it. And again, it was a selling point for mine. The guy loved it. Mine was Destroyer 1320 plate. The RF hub was bricked. And, I could do some things in the tune to make it really a pain in the ass too. But those were the things that I did. And yep, you're welcome, brother. Destroyer 1320 in the house. Happy to help when I can. But yeah, listen, and if Matt is running low 13s with that truck in good air, I'm down with that, man. That's cool as hell as far as I'm concerned. But again, that all that tells you is that standard output cars are going to be slower than a Coyote Mustang car. Okay, that's not a bad place to be, and it's not going to be that far behind, right? I mean, we're already talking about cars that are fast. And this is something else too, because if that is the case and he ran that 1329, think about what that translates to once that thing is tuned. I mean, again, just like the Coyotes, it's going to be, in the 12s, depending on how aggressive your gearing is and everything else. It's a decently quick rig. And so that's why, okay, full stop. Happy. Yay. And I'll give Matt a shout next week and we'll talk, because I would love to get my truck just in whatever air we've got. I'd love to get them and run them. If he can make the time and I can make the time, actually, it won't happen next week. Let's wait for some cool air and give them both the right opportunity. But again, if Matt can't be the only one that's working here, though, and this is another point that I'm trying to make here. It can't be a one-man operation. I need other folks to be out there taking the plunge, or I need other folks out there doing something with those cars too. And here's the other weird thing. I'm talking to Matt the other day. It's been a hot minute back when I had Stormy. Nobody then was doing anything with the DT Rams. Nobody was. I think a lot of folks are taking this kind of a weird wait and see approach with that truck. It's lighter than the Classic. It's not as aerodynamic, but it is certainly lighter than Classic, and it's got a more aggressive gear set in the first and second gears in the HP75. So I got to ask, why would it, I felt like I was the only person messing with DT Rams when I was playing with mine. I mean, go figure, right? And by the way, if he has run a 1320, that means that engine, when it's run on 93 octane, is 0.3 quicker than its Hemi equivalent. So, 430 horse, 470 torque, it sounds like it's kind of translated about like that, power for power, engine for engine. So already I'm pretty impressed by that. That's a good thing. Oh, I must have, oh. Oh, Kurt's asking about Walter P. Chrysler, his grandkid. The guy, I don't know why they're taking him. I guess it's one of those, he's a fixture in the industry, I suppose. At least he wants to think he is. And I see where you're going with that on Sovereign. I don't know, man. These are companies that have, they are their own entities, and if unfortunately Septus Stellantis, they can make whatever kind of decisions that they want to make, as long as their stock prices keep going up. Their shareholders aren't going to care if they ditch V8s, bring in 4 cylinders, bring wind power to they don't care, as long as if people are buying it. But that's the problem. If you're building things, if you're building widgets that are not viable in terms of generating revenue, then I don't really know what I can tell you about that. And people aren't buying the product, then they're going to have to make a change either way. Oh, I'll be leaning forward these days if I was buying F-150 or Stang, if I need a little hot rod. Yeah, Martin, thank you very much. All-wheel drive 300C, a good candidate for positive displacement supercharger, or is it too much of a torque for the transmission to handle? Would be pretty funny to troll folks in the senior citizen car. There are some guys that have done it. I don't see why it would be too much of an issue. that's the same setup that I think guys were running the. I think a few people were running the little Maggie. Well, I say little, they're not little. The 2650 Maggie E-Force kit. Check out the E-Force kit for that car specifically. But I want to say that, yeah, that was the setup I think that a few of the guys were running. They were doing pretty good with it. They were running them in all-wheel drive cop cars, which is the same. All that running gear would be the same. I don't know how long it'll handle it, but it would certainly, it'd probably handle it for a hot minute. But yeah, I'd say go for it. If they've got a kit, if there's an E-Force kit for that car specifically, that would be a ripping little car to play around with. And yeah, there's no, you just want the throttle and let it eat. Man, I am so spoiled. I am spoiled as hell. Guys, look, this 4-wheel drive F-150 has, it has screwed me up, man. I got to tell you, anything all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive, I'm kind of a sucker for now, more than I really have been. For a while with the Eagle Talons way back in the day, that was a killer car because they were all-wheel drive and guys would troll Mustangs with them pretty hard back in the day. But yeah, it's yeah, the F-150 4x4 with the FRP supercharger kit. I understand that Whipple makes the 3.0 and it's 100 more horsepower. It's like 800 and something horsepower for the truck. Man, I don't know how long on a PD blower. I don't know how long that drive line would last. It might be perfectly fine. I think the big issue with the 10R80 was the basket. There's a part of this automatic transmission called a basket. It's where all the gears literally slide in. And anyway, that I think that's what was breaking before. The 4th gen transmission, I want to say all of them, all the 10R80s were updated and upgraded. And that's one of the reasons why you can run the 800 horse kit from Ford in the Mustang and the 700 horse kit in the pickup trucks, I believe. But thank you, Mark. Led by a few saying thumbs down on Stellantis. There's a lot of folks that agree with that. Hard Rock, you're right. All corporate cares about is the bottom line. You better believe it. And it ain't just Stellantis, man, unfortunately. Would Trump buy the brands back? Maybe. Oh, Martin saying, I know you got to chop the hood for the whip on the 300. Takes away from the sleeper. Yeah, I don't know. The E-Force, I think, sits quite a bit lower than the Whipple, though. In fact, the Whipple would have to be the 3.0. It's a completely different design than like the 4.0 or the 4.5. But the E-Force doesn't sit any higher than the stock intake manifold that's on that car at all. In fact, now that I'm thinking, yeah, it wouldn't be any higher, I wouldn't think. But check that one out. I think that would be the way you'd want to go. Because that would be very, very fun. But guys, I guess where I'm going with this video and where the point of the live tonight is this. Look, saw what the Hemi was capable of when the Hemi was offered in the pickup truck. And then we saw it migrate into the 300. We migrate into the Magnum. I'd like to see that car make a comeback too. In fact, if they weren't so damn expensive, anyway, but we saw it start to migrate there. Then we saw the Charger and then the Challenger. And then the rest is history, right? We've got to see something. We've got to see something come from Dodge that's going to be exciting. We've got to see some positive movement with that truck, because without that push, it's there's not going to be any real fireworks come with the Charger if you're going, oh, well, yeah, but, a stock, I mean, just line them up. A stock, 6-cylinder turbo Hurricane got smoked by a Coyote. That's not a good look. Not when you're trying to sell that engine in also as a performance variant. Oh, Skids is checking out. Good to see you, buddy. We'll see you on the next one. Oh, Kurt saying, just saw a video of the line at the Windsor plant. Charger is beginning to go down it. Yeah, those are all the electric ones. There's a lot of fun. I'll tell you what, y'all know, Smoking Hot will absolutely not allow an electric vehicle. I don't even think I could bring one home as a loaner. It would not be able to park inside the garage. Not that it could fit with all of her stuff. Anyway, that's kind of the reality. I'm not kidding. That's the reality of EVs. There's a lot of folks that have a lot of opinions about them. And for me, I'm not negatively or positively charged when it comes to EVs. What I did there? But I am just keenly aware of the dangers of that type of technology. And here's the thing, I guess, what this is the thing about that technology that I guess is the biggest beef for me, is that there is battery technology that is out there that is far and away safer than what they're putting in these vehicles. And I'm not talking about lead acid, okay? I'm talking about lithium ferrous batteries. No, they do not have the same discharge capacity that more lithium ion cobalt carrying batteries have. But that's not the point. The point is to have a safe ass automobile that's not going to burst into flames for whatever seems like for no reason. Thing just goes all schizoid and fries your house. Lithium, it's LiFePO4, which is lithium iron phosphate batteries. And on the RC side, we've known about lithium iron phosphate batteries for forever and ever and ever and ever. And no, they don't have the same power output as a LiPo, but you can be involved in a wreck, and if that battery is pierced, it doesn't explode. And so guys have been running those types of batteries and all kinds of stuff. Now, no, it doesn't have the same discharge capacity, which means it also doesn't have the same range. You just have to make the batteries bigger, but they're safer, and their discharge that they do have, though, is extremely linear. So you can run them at 100% for longer. And so I don't know. Lots of better. It's better in general. They last way longer. There's a lot of reasons to like that battery. It's just that it's not. The point of it is this. It's the performance dummy is what they'll always default to, right? Like it's the economy dummy, it's the performance dummy, it's the range dummy. It's whatever dummy is needed, whatever you need to prop up. You need the thing that is going to prop up whatever that narrative is, and that's why they don't use those batteries, even though they're far less environmentally, the impact on the environment is far less in many ways. Conflict chemicals, are not needed for those types of batteries, not in the way they are for other. Anyway, don't get me on a soapbox. I don't want to bore you to tears with that. I guess the point I'm making is looking at what is possible and what is safe. They're going with they're erring on the side. Safety is not what they're going for. But anyway, let me get back to you guys. Some are saying Toyota is going to start with solid state batteries, lithium iron phosphates. They are safer. Energy is dense, correct, just like we're talking about. Far greater charge cycles and last a lot longer, a whole lot longer. Saying people like them in solar applications. Very cool. Chris, the HO Hurricane would be sweet in the Mexican Ram 700. I mean, I tell you what, if they can just make it so that you can, we'll see what it ends up working at. What is that? What is that? I keep forgetting. In fact, it's the truck that I would be really interested in. Oh hell, what is it? It's the Ram. It's the one, the $74,000 one, which is already way too much to pay for a truck. But that's a damn nice truck. Anyway, I can't remember. I can't remember the damn name of it. For the solid state batteries, yes, it doesn't use a liquid electrolyte, correct. But they still can corrode. You got to be careful with corrosion with those types of batteries. But it is better than them catching on fire. It's not the Rampage. Well, the Rampage was the EV truck, and that. Now I'm thinking of the truck that's going to come with the HO, but not the. I can't remember all the made up names I got for them now. It's the one that's basically a Tremor, but with the HO motor. Anyway, that would be the one to get. That'd be a hell of a truck. But we'll see. We'll see what it all ends up looking like. We've got a few months left of whatever is going on right now to deal with. But I think that once how do I put this? I think that once we get to a point where we can see what the Hurricane is really capable of in capable hands, it's still way too early to get any kind of idea for what that thing is going to be able to accomplish in terms of durability, fuel economy, and everything that comes with that. I can tell you this, you're always going to have your V8 guys, and maybe we'll start to have a lot more Turbo 6 guys, but I think we're always going to have that cool little rivalry, and I think that's kind of neat. The only time that this gets weird is the same time it gets weird with cars. I can tell you how it goes. Coyote guy goes out, finds him a Hurricane 6 guy, whoops up on the Hurricane 6. Maybe the Hurricane 6 didn't have good gas or something like that. Hurricane 6 guy goes out, puts the right gas in the truck, goes out and ekes out a victory over Coyote guy. Coyote guy goes and, I don't know, full bolt-ons with a tune, beats the Hurricane guy. Hurricane guy figures out somehow or another a way to tune the thing. It does something, this, that, or whatever, beats the Coyote guy. Coyote guy gets supercharger. And at that point, it's like, I don't know, man. I would love to say that the Hurricane is going to be able to get out there and mix it up with those trucks, and I really want them to, because I think that it would be a super awesome, cool rivalry to have Coyote and Hurricane mixing it up. I think that would be a shit load of fun. I really, really do. So we'll see. Let's see. Oh, Sovereign's talking about the electrolyte and the capacitor will change the hydrogen gas. Yeah, I would love to see if there's something cool to do with any of the electric stuff. I'm all for it, but right now I just cannot help but think that it's still going to be a couple of years out before we start seeing the hurricanes really come into their own. But I think once they do, it's going to be pretty impressive. It's just that right now we're not seeing it. And because we're not seeing it right now, and it's so close to that Hurricane Chargers debut, we've got to see something cool coming, or else it's going to end up being, I don't know, kind of lackluster, I suppose. But guys, with that, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up. I want to thank Martin. I appreciate you. Hard Rock, man, with all the support, I do truly appreciate it, guys. I really do. Helps things keep clicking along over here on my end for sure. Oh, what do we got here? Love by Few saying V6 GTR beat a Demon 170 2 days ago. At Compton Street Racing. I'm surprised to see that. But with that, guys, I got to wrap it up. Listen, love each and every one of y'all. Would not do this without you. Get out there and do something cool for somebody, because chances are they need it way more than you know. Sovereign saying, spike the like. Yes, for sure. And with that, guys, I got to wrap it up. I got to get to work on these things out here in the shop. Y'all have a great one. Take care. We'll see you on the next one. Adios.